What's going on, guys? Steven Mandak, aka Mr. Clutch, on another episode of the Moving Forward podcast, where we move forward in business and in life. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about employee turnover. So let's get straight into it. So the last week, I had lost, again, two of my estimators that I just recently hired, and I had them on board for only 2 months. And in this episode, we're going to be diving deep on what I think happened, what I could have done better, and then also my plan of action. All right, so let's get straight into it. I hired these two guys. I found them on Indeed. Okay, that's where I was searching for employees. Found them in on Indeed. They had a really good resume, and based off of the resume, I went ahead and brought them in, interviewed them. I interviewed a couple of people, and I thought they were probably going to be the best fit. So when I hired them, I brought them in. I told them essentially that, hey, the position that you guys are going to be coming into is an on-site estimator / business development representative. Both of them were experienced in sales. One of them was doing outbound sales and prospecting, and the other one was doing inbound sales at the time, and they both seemed really good during the interview. Now, I feel like I also rushed the process to go ahead and have them hired and brought them in because I was kind of on, I didn't have a backup. I didn't have anybody else trained, and I was like, dude, let me just go ahead and get somebody in. I don't want to do the on-site estimates. I got a whole other bunch of things that I need to do. So I just brought them in, didn't really do anything to do like some type of assessment as far as what type of personality traits do they have, what are they, what are they comfortable with, have they used any type of tech tools or anything like that. Which I could have done differently, but I should have done. I now that I understood that, I'll probably do it on the next hires. But I think that was one of my first mistakes. I had brought them in, and then as soon as I brought them in, I did training with them, and our training isn't super in depth. What I typically have them do is I have them come in, watch some videos about moving, watch some videos about sales training, and some of the first things that I noticed was that they were not good with tech at all. They didn't know how to connect things, very simple things that I think is needed in order to be up to date with the sales in this current world. So both of them didn't know how to connect connect their headphones or connect their laptop to the additional screen. They didn't know how to do any of those things, and I was just like, dude, let me go ahead and help these guys out. So that was kind of the first red flag. The second red flag was they just didn't seem as engaged as far as the things that we're teaching them, and also the content that was being provided on how to move, etc. Maybe that's my fault. I would say it is my fault because I had so many other things that I needed to do, and I didn't have as much time that I can go ahead and spend with them and go over the material that they just watched for that week. So kind of fast forward, after I went through training, I realized that there was no retention off of anything that they had watched. So after I went ahead and sat them down, paid them for training for about 2 weeks, coming into now dealing with me on a day-to-day basis and taking them out to on-site estimates and, having them run through the system, there was no retention. So they didn't know how to, navigate through our CRM when beforehand the training was basically showing them how to navigate through the CRM. What I could have done differently was I could have went ahead and had them, do a reassessment and touch bases with them and see exactly what they learned. But I didn't do that. I was just, steaming ahead and just trying to get them on site as possible because I didn't want to do any more of the on-site estimates. So, second red flag. And then, when I'm coming out and doing on-site estimates with them, kind of going over the game plan and kind of going over how to properly do an on-site estimate and sharing the processes with them. One of them I thought was really, really good. He was a really good salesperson, had a lot of charisma, and was able to instantly connect with one of the clients or whatever clients we went in there with. Um, the second estimator, he was good. He just needed a lot of hand holding and he wasn't a critical thinker. So, after we finished, doing the on-site estimates with them, and then that took another, 2 weeks to kind of get them more comfortable with doing the on-site estimates. And then I kind of let them go on their own and do the on-site estimates themselves. And, we're constantly doing training. We're constantly touching bases with them. And what I did after, had them do on-site estimates by themselves, I went ahead and started bringing them to other networking groups, such as Lunch and Learns, and then also joining a networking group called BNI. So I was laying it on them and then just pushing them to go ahead and do it. Maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe I could have slowly progressed them into things of that sort, because what I came to realize, after that was they weren't 100% comfortable with it. They were, very nervous, didn't wasn't super happy to do it, and just felt nervous, going into the Lunch and Learns and the networking groups. And I could tell, but for me, I was like, dude, you guys want to make money, or you guys don't want to hit your goals? What's going on? So I feel like I kind of pushed them there. Now, what I want to do differently now moving forward is that have an on-site estimator and have a business development representative. I think those are two separate positions, because being a business development manager or representative, it takes a different type of skill set. Where it's building rapport, schmoozing with the customer, and also it's a long-term game. Versus an on-site estimator, they know what they have to get into, they know what they have to do, they know the actual end goal, and that's to book the job. Now, with a business development representative, it takes some time to build a relationship and slowly work that lead to go ahead and give you business. So, I kind of mixed those two to really see what was possible. And, I was essentially A and B testing and seeing what was capable of it. But it just, looking back at it now, it just seemed like they were totally not engaged on the business development side, but more so engaged on the on-site estimate side. So that was a huge thing that now looking back at it, that I was like, oh man, I should have went ahead and done that differently. And then I feel like another thing that happened was that when they understood that the business was such a seasonal business, very busy during the summer and then going down during the winter, they also got scared. They thought that they weren't going to make any money, and since it was a commission-based position, they were worried. So one of the estimators, he had left. They both left within the same week. The first one left because he was a little bit older. He had some health issues, and he couldn't keep driving back and forth, and he couldn't keep making it to the office on time because he was a little bit older, and it hurt him to be driving in a car back and forth an hour away from our office and then driving all across the bay, which is where we do all our on-site estimates. The second person was he found another job. He found another job that was going to pay him a higher base salary, and it was a tech job. So I understood. I was like, hey, feel free, go ahead and do your thing. But he still wanted to work weekends for me. But I instantly cut that off, and I said, hey, man, if you're not fully engaged to work with me, then we shouldn't go ahead and work together, because you have to have your full energy and full commitment to be a successful salesperson. You can't split your energy into two different things, because there's a lot of things that you need to do, following up, making sure that everything is detailed, and things like that. So I immediately cut that off. So this literally just happened 2 days ago, and I had to make a decision very, very quickly. So the decision that I made was, I told myself was that, hey, I'm not going to do on-site estimates anymore. I need to train the rest of my team to go ahead and do on-site estimates. So I made a very quick decision, and it was just right off of the fly. And I ran it by my operations manager to see what he thought. So this is what I did for the plan of action, especially when I got so many things going on and moving ahead of me. I got Arizona coming up. I'm gonna go ahead and take over that location, and put in a lot of energy over there. So what I did was my videographer. He actually used to work for me, and he was my operations manager and also my estimator. I put two and two together. He actually left because it just wasn't a good fit for him at the time. And he had a lot of things that were going on, but I still thought he had incredible work ethic, and that's the reason why I had made him my videographer. So I made a decision to say, hey, tell my videographer, like, hey man, like, do you want to come in and become my estimator and do estimates for me? Right now, we haven't fully worked out the actual compensation agreement, but he's a beast, and I know that he can do the job very well. He did two on-site estimates yesterday, and he booked them. So he's got experience. He's been in the moving industry for a very long time. But right off the bat, I was like, let's just go ahead and make a quick decision, and I went ahead and put him in that position. So we're gonna go ahead and work that out. He's gonna be my on-site estimator for the time being. Now, what I'm planning on doing is that I'm going to go ahead and have my on-site estimator train my operations manager. So just in case anything like this was to happen, he's cross-trained. So my operations manager could go ahead and do on-site estimates. Also, what I'm going to do is that my operations man or my on-site estimator can train my dispatcher. So I have multiple people that are backed up to go ahead and do on-site estimates. But the main thing is that my operations manager needs to know how to do these things because he's going to now become my GM once I leave this location and run the show. But the main thing is that I want him to understand is how to properly just follow the process on doing an on-site estimate, and then also looking for a really good on-site estimator whenever one does leave or one gets replaced or one's not just that good. So he just needs to understand that process. So I'm basically having the rest of my team cross-trained to go ahead and be able to one, do an on-site estimate, and then number two, when they need to hire a new on-site estimator, they know exactly what to look for. I think moving forward as well too, we're gonna put in a process to make sure that there's an assessment before we bring in a salesperson, because I always think that sales is always number one, and it's easier to train another person with admin skills and all those other tasks. That's easily trainable, but I feel like, me personally, is that sales is such a harder skill to learn than doing all the administrative work, because with sales, it's not just about doing the estimate correctly. You have to get the customer to trust you, to like you, and then essentially give you their business. So it takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of charisma. It takes a lot of know-how. It takes knowing your product that you're selling. So I think it's harder to train sales than to train an administrator. So I put a huge emphasis on making sure that sales is always priority, and then operations come second. And that's just me. I'm pretty sure people have different perspectives on it, but that's how I grew my company. I always thought sales was number one. Everything else comes second. And I'm sure many people can agree with that. It's either sales or marketing. You can kind of say one of those two things, but that's how I look at it. Now, moving forward with my plan of action and my plan of attack is, once I get all that situated, I'm still gonna go ahead and make the leap to go ahead and move to Arizona and make sure that this team that I have right now is with a really, really strong foundation. At one point I did have a thought like, dude, am I ready to really make this leap and go to Arizona? Or should I slow down, stay back, and say, let's not move forward with the deal? But when I really thought about it, I have a strong team here, and opportunities come every so often. So I know that this location can man and hold down itself. Shoot, it might even run better without me here. And the rest of my team, I think, is really good critical thinkers, and they can think on the fly. And I don't think they need me. Sometimes they just come to me because they want to have somebody to run something by. But I think once I'm gone from here, they'll be able to work more cohesively together as a unit versus just coming to me for everything. So I'm excited to see that. I mean, I'm only going to be a 2 hour flight away, and I'm always a phone call away. So I feel comfortable with leaving the rest of my team here. So that's pretty much what happened in the past week and a half. What I'm going to be doing now though is I'm going to make sure that any salesperson that I do hire, I'm gonna put them through a stronger training and then give them a better expectation of what the actual job description is gonna be. So there's less turnover, and there's less having to scramble whenever something like this happens. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the last week and a quick little update. And there you have it, on the Moving Forward podcast.